Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who just seemed to operate on a completely different frequency? They're not necessarily the loudest person in the room, they're not always the one with perfect grades or the fanciest degree on the wall, but there's something about the way they think, the way they move through the world that makes you pause and think, okay, that person is wired differently. Today, we're not talking about IQ scores or standardized tests. We're talking about something far more interesting, the everyday habits that people with extremely high intelligence tend to share. And some of these are going to surprise you, because they're not what school told you intelligence looks like. Let's start with something almost nobody talks about. Highly intelligent people tend to talk to themselves. Yes, out loud. In the car, in the shower, while cooking dinner. And before you laugh, here's what the research says. Psychologists at Bangor University found that self-directed speech actually helps the brain organize thoughts, improve focus, and work through problems more efficiently. So if you've been embarrassed about your little internal monologues going external, stop. Your brain is just running diagnostics. Here's another one. Highly intelligent people are deeply comfortable with not knowing something. This one's counterintuitive, right? You'd think a brilliant mind would always have an answer. But actually, it's the opposite. Psychologists call this intellectual humility, and it's one of the strongest markers of a genuinely sharp mind. The smarter the person, the more aware they are of how vast the unknown really is. They'll sit with a question for days, weeks, sometimes years. Certainty makes them uncomfortable. Curiosity is their natural state. Now, think about your own daily routines for a second. People with high IQs are often creatures of intense habit, not because they're boring, but because routine frees up cognitive bandwidth. When you don't have to think about what to eat for breakfast or what route to take to work, your brain can redirect that energy toward the things that actually matter to you. Einstein reportedly wore the same style of clothes every day for this exact reason. Your brain has a limited budget for decisions, and smart people spend it wisely. There's also something fascinating about how highly intelligent people engage with boredom. Most people run from it. They reach for their phone the second there's a quiet moment. But people with high IQs tend to sit in boredom differently. They let their minds wander, and that wandering, that idle, seemingly unproductive state, is actually where some of the most creative and complex thinking happens. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network. And it's essentially your brain's background processing system. Boredom isn't a void for these people. It's a workshop. Another habit that catches people off guard, highly intelligent people ask a lot of questions, especially the ones that feel too simple to ask. They're not afraid of looking uninformed, because they know that the dumbest sounding question often cracks open the deepest understanding. They're also voracious readers, but not always in the way you expect. It's rarely just one genre or one subject. It's everything. Science, history, fiction, philosophy, random Wikipedia rabbit holes at 2 in the morning. And speaking of 2 in the morning, many high IQ individuals are night owls. Research published in the journal Psychology and Individual Differences found a correlation between higher intelligence and a preference for staying up late. There's something about the quiet of the night, the absence of interruption, that lets a certain kind of mind fully come alive. Here's one more that really ties it all together. People with extremely high intelligence tend to have a deep inner world. They're often mistaken for being antisocial or distant. But the truth is their inner conversation is so rich, so layered, that surface-level small talk genuinely feels like interference. They're not being rude, they're just already mid-thought in a conversation you can't see. So here's the thing I want you to walk away with today. Intelligence isn't a trophy you earn once and display on a shelf. It's a collection of habits, attitudes, and ways of engaging with the world. And the beautiful part? So many of these habits are ones you can cultivate. The curiosity, the self-reflection, the comfort with uncertainty, the willingness to sit quietly and let your brain do its thing. These aren't locked behind some genetic door. If any of these habits sound like you, I want you to drop a comment below and tell me which one felt most like looking in a mirror. And if this gave you something to think about, which I hope it did, stick around, because we're just getting started.